Why do you hate me?
Greetings, friends. It's Josh.
And I'm Ryan.
And this is Daniel.
And we're here today for another exciting episode of the Dead Tired Dads podcast. We're back to a group of 3 here. We were hoping to have 4 people, but unfortunately Matt had some stuff come up, so unfortunately it's just the 3 of us. But nonetheless, we're here today. We're excited to be here, as always, because it's the Dead Tired Dads podcast, which is a podcast
For
Who
gamers.
wants to say it? There you go.
Who don't have time to game.
Ryan's got it.
I got it.
Yeah, we're very organized here.
This is a well-oiled machine.
So yeah, it's our news episode. It's the last Friday in February.
Yes, indeed.
So it's our episode about what's gone on in the world of video games in February. So before we get into that, I just remembered something that I found very interesting. I heard about this game. This is not a video game. This is just a game that was played in like the 18th and 19th century.
Here we go.
I'm listening.
Here we go.
Where could this go?
So we like to talk about how like we're like our society is really like crazy, and like video games make kids nuts and like do weird and crazy things and violent and all this stuff. So there was this game called Snapdragon
Okay.
that, let me just say, when I heard about this game, I thought it was the most insane thing I had ever heard of in my entire life.
Snapdragon.
So essentially, how this game worked, you would get, you'd get raisins.
All right.
And you'd pour brandy.
Oh, hey.
You pour brandy over the raisins.
Okay.
And then you set them on fire.
Yes.
What now?
You set the raisins on fire.
And people did this in their homes, like on purpose for fun.
Yes.
And then what happened?
And children would reach into the fire and grab the raisins and put them in their mouths
Nailed it.
and eat them.
You know, against my better judgment, I kind of want to do the science and play the game.
I think we should live broadcast on the YouTube channel us playing Snapdragon.
I am just at, like, when I first heard about this, I was just absolutely shocked. Because, like, again, like, we think about, like, the kids
That's
today
incredible.
just being absolutely nuts. Like, in, like, you have the movies and the shows where it's like,
Yeah.
hey, don't try this at home. Because, you know, like, oh, yeah, the kids are going to watch that and they're going to do it. No, this was, like, encouraged, and it's a Christmas game. At
Of course it is.
Naturally.
So...
But yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, like, basically you grab the raisin, burn your hand, then throw it in your mouth, open your mouth so it, like, you had, like, this blue flame in your mouth.
I love it. I love everything about
burning you. So,
Like, it's just a good thing we live close to so many hospitals.
right.
Like, that makes me feel better about this. It probably shouldn't. But we've got a safety net.
Yeah, we could absolutely try to play this game. I'm not going to, but we could absolutely do it.
You know how, like our parents and grandparents' generation would say, like, back in my day, we had to... Was there someone who used to be like, back in my day, we used to set the raisins on fire with brandy and then eat them?
Sure you did, Grandma. Sure you did.
I bet you did, Grandma.
No, it was a real game. It was called Snapdragon.
Amazing.
I don't know, man. Like, it just blew my mind that was a thing that happened that was encouraged for children to do.
That's amazing. I think we should play that game.
It's no wonder that we're soft now, because we don't
put fire in our faces.
we don't play Snapdragon anymore.
There's no fire in our souls anymore.
This soft generation doesn't even eat fire anymore.
Oh man. So anyway, I don't know what else. What else have we
impressive.
got? I know, right?
That's really impressive.
So not necessarily video game related, but old timey video games maybe. Like rather than like
remarkable.
shooting aliens, what they did was they set themselves on fire.
Amazing. Amazing. Dedication.
So, what else have we got going on, gentlemen?
Wow. Before we started, I almost told a story, and I don't even want to tell it anymore.
Oh,
because that it can't top that. It's not nearly as cool.
it's not as cool as Snapdragon.
Not nearly as cool as Snapdragon.
Well, now you have to tell it anyway. So unless you want to wait till the next episode. I mean, we could do it on another episode if you want to hold off. That's up to you.
Sure. Let's save it.
Okay, we'll save it.
Pocket that.
Okay.
Pocket.
So, this story's not very interesting or very important.
Okay.
But after a year and a half of not having Breath of the Wild, I found it in my minivan.
Yay! Woo!
You did. It's true.
And
That's awesome.
Yeah, after beating Tears of the Kingdom in the time that this game disappeared from my life, coming back to Breath of the Wild, it really does feel like Breath of the Wild is an excellent, thorough tech demo for Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, no, I buy that. That's funny. Yeah. Huh. Well, I was really glad when you sent us that text that you had found it. And it made me very happy. So have you been able to go back and beat Breath of the Wild now?
So I've not yet.
Okay.
But I finally filled in the whole map, so that's a step in the right direction.
Nice.
Yeah, I've got 2 more Divine Beast
Nice.
to go. But something that was really fun was like how well I knew the map after plowing through Tears of the Kingdom. I was like, oh,
Yep.
hey,
I recognize this place.
there's 3 labyrinths here. I know about labyrinths.
Right.
And like, oh, there's the Forgotten Temple here. I ignored that before. Oh, look, there's stuff. I love stuff. So it was really exciting. And then the kids absolutely went crazy because they've been loving playing Tears of the Kingdom, and now there's this novelty that's been introduced. And like, even though in a lot of ways it's not as polished as a game for obvious reasons, they had so much fun kind of making Zelda new again for them.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. So, all right. Well, why don't we got a lot of news to cover, actually.
A ton.
There's a lot that happened in the month of February, I've got to say. I'm just going to start off here. We'll just launch right into this.
Dive into it.
So, the first thing I wanted to mention, just as a thing that happened, I don't know how long we'll talk about this, but a thing that did happen in the month of February. So this was early in the month. It may have happened at the end of January. I'm not sure exactly when the whole thing went down. But Disney bought a $1.5 billion stake in Epic Games.
Interesting.
Huh.
So, like, they're apparently planning on, like, universe-connected Fortnite games somehow. I don't know exactly what that means. I don't play Fortnite personally, but I've heard it's a ton of fun. I just haven't taken the time to get into it.
Sure.
But like, apparently Disney is interested in that world for some reason.
It is kind of on brand for them to do that, because I don't know if you guys ever played or even remember these games. They had, like, I guess it would be almost Fortnite adjacent, but it was a multiplayer game where you could play as like the Pixar characters or various Disney characters, and you go and like fight monsters coming out of a vortex or something like that.
Interesting.
So they have a history of that style of game already. I think in their spirit of, doing what works, because we've all seen the Pixar memes of like, hey, this movie's about, cars having feelings. This movie's about emotions having feelings.
Right.
They find a formula, they stick with it. This seems to fit with their formula, at least from what they've shown us so far.
So, anyway, for me, like, I mean, it's fine, whatever. Like, it's an interesting development, right? Disney getting more into like game development and things like that.
Yep.
Hopefully that means some story, like some good story coming out, which has been kind of lacking from Disney lately, unfortunately. but that could mean some cool things for video games in the future.
Yep.
But I also want to point out, like, this is a huge acquisition, like $1.5 billion, and we've seen this happen like several times over the last several years, where like these massive companies are just putting billions of dollars into these other, like, into these development companies, right?
Yeah. Looking at you, Microsoft and
Right.
OpenAI.
Right. So, like, it's just there's so much money being thrown around at this stuff, and like,
Yeah.
I don't know what that actually means for video games, because I really feel like it's too much.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like the investment that is going into video games is actually like it's being over invested in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm a gamer. I love video games, but I really feel like there's an over investment in video games, and I'm kind of concerned, just a hair, that like at some point, like, something's going to, like, horrible is going to happen, and the entire industry just collapses in on itself because people have over invested in it.
They can't. The way I look at it is they can't all succeed, right? Like, some of these are not going to work, and so it's kind of a scary thought of which one doesn't work and how big is it and how big is the impact.
Well, and we talked about this trend previously about how a lot of game developers are focusing exclusively on sequels because they're afraid to take risks anymore.
Right. Yeah.
I think this is going to only add fuel to that fire, because the more money you have at stake, the less risks you can take.
Yep.
So I mean, maybe this is huge for indie developers. Maybe the big players are going to, write themselves into a corner, and people with new, fresh ideas are going to have a chance to stir the pot a little bit.
Well, and if Disney knows anything about making sequels,
No.
let's ride that thing straight into the ground.
Oh gosh.
So I mean, maybe that's a probability in this situation, I would say. Like, hey. But anyway, that's one big thing that I wanted to mention. And I've got another big thing before we get into a couple other things. But Ryan, you had been, I don't know if you wanted to talk about this on a later episode, but Pal World.
Oh yeah, I do have a note to talk about Pal World.
Okay. So we can save Pal World for another episode.
Yeah.
But that came out, and that's been a huge deal.
Yeah.
Ryan's been able to play it, and so we'll hear his thoughts on it soon.
Correct.
So
I mean, so interesting thing for today is we had, like Josh said, a lot of big news in February, but today specifically we had the Nintendo Direct drop.
yes.
Now obviously we're giving commentary on this a couple weeks after the event, but there's a lot of really cool things coming up.
Yeah, no, for sure. So, so that aired, when this comes out, that'll be 2 days ago. So that was Wednesday of this week, that came out. So yeah, lots of really interesting developments there. I am particularly excited. If you guys, Daniel, you said you weren't able to watch the whole thing, but I bet you all, if you did, I bet you could guess what I'm most excited about in this whole thing.
Wait, let me look back at my notes.
Oh, Ryan's got to look back at his notes.
Let's see. What do we got here?
Did you miss it? I bet you missed it.
Let's see.
I mean, I'm looking. Oh wait, I know specifically what you're excited about.
I have a pretty good guess.
Okay. They're releasing the original Star Wars
Yep.
Battlefronts for the Switch, and I'm so flippin' excited.
Yep, I knew you'd be excited about that.
Man,
So excited.
they're capitalizing so well on millennial nostalgia
I
right
know.
now.
It's
I'm not even mad.
It's so bad. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, I have that. So I'm gonna pause for a second so I can gather my thoughts here. Over the last month, I ended up buying a Series X so that I could play all of my old Xbox video games.
Correct.
On that, and so I've been playing Lego Indiana Jones for my daughter, who keeps asking me to play it, and she's loving that. So that's been a lot of fun. Except that game is incredibly frustrating because that's like right when the Lego games started becoming too big for their britches. Like, they started trying to do way too much. Anyway, beside the point. So I decided I always had the Battlefront games on the PlayStation 2. So I was like, I've got to go find the Battlefront games on the Xbox, like the original Xbox Battlefront, so that I can play them. And so I did. I went and found a copy of Battlefront 2 for the Xbox.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, when I tell you that this man was ecstatic after he did this, that would be an understatement.
It was. I was so happy to get to play that game again, like, because it's been years since I've played the original Battlefronts, and it's so flippin' good. So I'm a little disappointed that I spent $15 on it to play it on Xbox, and now it's coming to Switch, so I'm gonna have to spend $60 to get them.
Correct.
You know, I could have saved myself the $15 and had it on the Switch, but I didn't know. No one told me until today. So that's one thing that I'm really excited about. Ryan, did you have anything particular that's jumped out to you?
Actually, there's one thing that I'm kind of excited about that I don't know anything about, but it just looked fun to me.
Right?
There was a game called Another Crab's Treasure.
Yes.
It just looks so fun.
Yes,
that one looks so fun.
That one looked really interesting. I didn't take any notes on that one because it didn't look interesting enough to me.
Yeah.
Like but yes.
It looks different, and like Daniel just said, like no one will do something different.
Right.
No one will try something. And so like part of me is drawn to that. It's like, wow, someone trying something different.
Yes.
Cool.
It
looks fun.
Yeah, it was watching it was hard for me to kind of pick up on like what the game, like what was it, right?
Yeah, right.
So like you go around as a crab who's lost his shell.
Yep.
And you have different things that you use as your shell, and they give you different powers and things like that. So
I think the basic gist is you are actually out on an adventure looking for your original shell.
Yeah.
And on the way to that, you get all these other things along the way that you can use as a shell. Like one of the things they showed was a cardboard box,
right?
Or so.
So just kind of possibly an action adventure type.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it could be a lot of fun. That one definitely
kind of
looked interesting
and
new. Yeah. Daniel, did anything jump out to you that you...
You know, no one's going to care about either of these two things except for the first one, but probably not that much. I have a love-hate relationship with Battletoads.
Yes!
I was excited about that.
It's impossible. Like, it is a very difficult game. But that's one of the joys of retro gaming is those games were so difficult.
They were so hard.
You had to put so many hours into it. It felt like a huge accomplishment when you get to the end and you're like, yeah, I did a thing.
Or you throw your controller and quit forever.
That one.
Yeah, many a CRT TV set are in a graveyard because of a rogue controller. So the other thing that I was very excited about, and again, I don't expect anybody to want to play this by default, but I'm a huge Gundam fan. Like Mobile Suit Gundam.
Yep.
Like pit two sides against each other. Neither one of them are really the bad guy, and the real enemy is war.
Yeah.
Yes, friends. So they have Gundam Breaker 4 announced for sometime this year.
Yes.
And those games always end up being sort of strange plays, but I'm still gonna spend money on it, and I'm excited to.
No, that one looked like a ton of fun. My own like I really, really want to play that one. My only thing with it is that it looks really overly complex and complicated. I'm just like, I'm not sure that I'm that interested in in getting that into that story. Mm-hmm. Like, sure, two giant robots fighting against each other. You build up, you customize your robot. Absolutely. But I feel like it could get really overwhelming really quickly.
No, I think you hit the nail on the head with that. So Josh is going to save himself the money on that one and is going to borrow my copy. That's how that's going to play out.
And then so not only Battletoads is coming out for Virtual Console, so that Battletoads for the Super Nintendo, but you also had Killer Instinct that came out, RC Pro-Am, and Blast Core, and there's another couple of games that I wasn't interested in, but those four were the ones that I was like, Oh man, because Blast Corps on the Nintendo 64 is a ton of fun. Like, you just basically destroy, like, you go through and try to destroy like everything. It's great.
In general, this is actually a change in the gaming industry I'm really excited about, because time and time again, in doing studies about why people do criminal things with intellectual property, access tends to be the number one deal breaker there. So Nintendo opening their vaults, releasing these games in an accessible way to the public, like, that's what people want.
Yeah,
they want to be able to experience what they had on the Super Nintendo and on the original Nintendo, and like have that experience back, because now it's an intergenerational thing.
Yeah.
That's why we're here. Like, we enjoy these. A lot of us are sharing this hobby with our children to some extent. Good play, Nintendo.
Yeah. Well, and Nintendo is always happy to take my money, so
aren't they just?
Yes. So they can have it when it comes to retro gaming and what they're doing. So
the only one that you missed was Snake Rattle and Roll, which I don't know what that is.
Yeah,
but
it's
for the virtual console.
Right.
That's the,
right. Yeah.
But yeah, I've not heard of that one. So.
So also, speaking of kind of retro type games, a new Contra game
yes, I'm excited
is coming
about
out.
that too.
So 2D side scroller, could be a lot of fun. So
yep.
Kind of jumping off of Nintendo Direct for a second here. This is something, again, that came out earlier in February, and it's really just a rumor. So it's not like there's nothing to back this up as of right now. But it appears that Microsoft may be launching the next Halo game.
Look out.
On
Okay.
the PS5.
Wouldn't surprise me at all.
What?
Yeah. So Microsoft is looking it again. Rumors. I have not heard anything. I saw this one article early in the month. I haven't heard anything about it since. Haven't had any confirmation of it since then. But they're talking about releasing Halo not just on the Xbox, but on the PlayStation 5 as well. And there's also rumors going around and swirling that Game Pass is actually going to be a multi-platform
That's gonna happen.
thing that they are going to, like, they're going to work with Sony, they're going to work with Nintendo to make Game Pass a multi-platform thing. So if you subscribe to Game Pass...
That's very compelling.
I know, right?
If you remember way back, I don't know if it was season 1 or season 2, but a long time ago, you and Matt and me compared the three services.
Yeah, that was
way back then.
Season 1, yeah.
A friend of mine texted me and said, "Mark my words, Game Pass will come to Nintendo Switch." He said it way back then. So, and I believe he's right.
Wow.
Yeah.
I never would have guessed.
Yeah, I know. Like, so, like,
that's what they're trying to do. That's Microsoft's aim, is to put Game Pass everywhere. I think I joked last time and said that if they could somehow put it in your shoe, they would. Like, they want it everywhere. They want it in your printer, in your smartphone. They want it everywhere. And so that's what they're trying to do.
See, the problem I see with that, like, because... And I guess with the way that kind of gaming is trending, that makes some sense. But it does take the... it takes the value off of your console, right?
Yeah.
So it makes the Xbox pretty much pointless.
I think they'll probably...
Right?
I think they're probably pretty close to not making Xboxes anymore. Like,
so
maybe one more generation.
Well, if you think about it, like, what you said, I feel like what you said is true, and so what the strategy lets them do is let Sony and Nintendo be the bag holders for this.
Yeah.
They're going to be stuck making the hardware, and Xbox is just going to enjoy the subscription dollars from PC gamers and from their competitors right now.
No, and that really does make a lot of sense. But, like, you're just simply relying on a streaming model for your entire revenue for your games division. And, like, again, like, I get it. I get the way that things are trending. I still feel like gamers want to hold things, right? Like,
Yeah.
so in the end, like, I could be completely wrong. I could be way off base on this, and it could just be the case that at some point, like, Microsoft is going to do this. They're going to quit making consoles, and it's just going to, because it's so convenient and so easy, like, people will just not worry about buying things anymore.
Yeah.
And then maybe there will be some games that they'll, release hard copies for, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it at length. Obviously, we want physical copies of things, but unfortunately, that's the way the industry is trending. And so, as a gamer, I want physical copies, but if I was sitting in some boardroom or some corporate room wearing a suit and they asked me, I would be like, yeah, this is a great idea. It's just smart business. So, I mean,
Yeah, no, I get it. Like I said, I totally get it. And we didn't cover this in our last news episode, but there was a bit of news that came out kind of in relating to this, where like the CEO of Ubisoft
Yep.
had said something along the lines of,
He said, gamers, what did he say? Something like gamers are going to have to get comfortable.
Oh, that's what it was. Before streaming becomes a really viable thing for games, gamers have to become more comfortable not owning their games.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people took that out of context, like misconstrued that to say he's saying that gamers need to become more comfortable not owning things. Like, they just don't need to want to own things, and they should just be okay with it. When what he actually was saying is, before we start really pushing,
Before you can go there,
before we can really start pushing streaming,
Yeah.
We have to make sure that gamers are actually comfortable not owning games.
We're
And
not.
We're not there.
I mean, I still got a huge stack of DVDs, if that says anything.
I do too.
Like to own my media, even while I enjoy streaming.
Yeah, no, exactly. I want both. I absolutely want both. I want to have the physical thing, and
Yep.
we've talked about this ad nauseum, and we will continue to
Yep.
talk about it, because it's just that important to me. Like, it really is, that we have physical media. But anyway.
It would not surprise me if the next Halo game is on the PlayStation. Wouldn't surprise me at all.
That's just so bizarre. Like,
Wouldn't surprise me at all if you can turn on your Nintendo Switch and log into Game Pass.
can
None
you
of that will surprise
imagine,
me.
like, 20 years ago saying, like, Halo's gonna be on the PlayStation 2?
I know.
Like,
Crazy.
No.
That was like the war.
No.
Like, that's the war. Like,
I mean, it's like saying Sonic's gonna be on Nintendo, right?
okay, fair. We've seen
But-
one hardware company make a transition to being primarily developers.
But the difference there is, like, this is an intentional suicide.
Yeah.
Like, this would be an intentional, like, euthanasia of the Xbox.
laying down. Yeah.
Like,
It's not
here,
like-
we're not gonna make consoles anymore. Like, we just quit. We quit making consoles.
yeah.
As a,
R.I.P. Dreamcast.
right. Well, I mean, that's with Sega. It was we just overextended ourselves because we
Yeah.
made too much hardware. Like, this is Xbox going, hardware, smartware.
It could be a thing where they go like what they did with the Series S, where they make consoles at a lower cost, but they don't have disk drives.
Yeah,
And
that's
it's just a
Well-
digital streaming box, if
so.
you
It's
will.
basically a tiny computer.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
Something that I really hadn't considered before this is, like, Xbox is weird as far as their place in Microsoft, because Microsoft does not make hardware. Like, what is their primary driver of everything? It's the Windows operating system.
Yep.
They don't make computers except for Xbox. They make gaming computers, and
Yeah.
switching to a model where they're doing in the gaming industry what they already do as their primary, trick. Like,
They do make the Surface.
I forgot about the Surface. I see the Surface every day.
Right.
And-
They do make the Surface, but that's also more like it's different than your typical PC, right? It's not, it's not exactly hardware.
If anyone
But-
is listening from my workplace's IT department, I need more RAM, please, for my Surface that I look at every day. Please and thank you.
Absolutely. But anyway, I just that whole development like is just a fascinating, just bizarre to me. It blows my mind.
That's been if you're into like theory crafting and predicting the industry, that's been kind of a thing that's been a theory for a while now.
Yeah.
So
don't get me wrong. I mean, like having access to Game Pass on the Switch is very
awesome.
Is very compelling.
Awesome. Yeah.
Well, and Xbox did the courtesy of the extensive backwards compatibility.
Oh,
so
yeah.
they've given you a reason for their last hurrah.
Yeah.
And now they can just pass on to
for sure
doing the Game Pass.
The biggest thing with the last hurrah is that like it's not every single game. I'm so frustrated. Like there are like 2 or 3 games that I had on the original Xbox that are not compatible on the Series X, and I'm just like, I want to play that game so bad. But it gives me an opportunity to go back and explore some other stuff, so I've been excited about that. But anyway, Microsoft is doing interesting things.
They are.
So
I have something that I actually forgot until just now as we were sitting here.
Okay, well, remember it.
Video game news related.
Okay,
so,
let's go. Hit it.
I don't know how much this will matter to you guys. I am ecstatic about this. There was a trailer a couple days ago announcing
Metroid Prime 4.
No.
Dang it.
Even though it pains me sometimes to give them high praise, EA Sports College Football.
Oh yes,
is coming back.
NCAA.
College football is coming
looky
back.
Looky there.
So this, I think it releases in July. You can play college football again on all your video game consoles.
Yeah, it's funny that you bring that up. I have not played a sports game since like Quarterback Club 2004
Nice.
on the Nintendo 64. Yeah, that was wild. That's exciting though.
No, that's really cool.
I am so
it
excited.
hasn't gotten nearly the attention that it needs.
No.
Obviously, since it's been a while. Thursday, was the first day that Division I colleges could start opting in or opting out.
Gotcha.
So if you follow any college sports, like name one, University of Kentucky, Duke, any of them, all of their Twitter pages were them announcing that they were going to be,
of course,
we're in the game, because EA Sports,
EA
it's in the game.
It's in the game.
Yeah. So every college is announcing that.
Nice.
Of course,
That's
they're gonna
awesome.
Be in the game.
Like, I have never played an NCAA game. Like, I never played a single one. But that is actually really exciting to me. Like, I just hope the last EA game that I played that I actually cared about that was like, oh wow, this is really good, was Madden 2006 on the Wii. And like it was actually really cool.
Controls.
Like the motion controls in Madden 06 were amazing for the Wii. Like they did a really good job with it. And then it probably didn't sell enough copies, and so they're like, we're not like putting that much development into this again, and it sucked ever since then. So
the way I love sports video games, obviously Josh and I have talked many times about how we're big football fans, but the way I treat sports video games is they are a backup to me. So if I'm playing some, very long 80-hour RPG or something and I need a break from it, I go play a sports game. The caveat to that is I don't pay for them. I play them on Game Pass or I borrow them from the library, but I just refuse to pay $60 every year for
the same
game. I will go out at midnight on July whatever and buy college football.
Yeah, no,
no hesitation.
Yeah.
It's already in the budget. I'm doing it.
Right.
So.
We'll support you in that.
That's
a big deal.
Yeah, no, it really is. Like, even though, like I said, I've never played an NCAA game.
Yeah.
My question is, I know that like in some of the later NCAA games and the Madden games, you had like the create your player thing that you could do in the NCAA game, and then you could carry that player over
into
the Madden. Do they let you do that in the new one? Because that would be really cool.
That'll be interesting. I don't know.
I feel like that would be fun. Because that is kind of an RPG type thing to do, right?
Yeah. What's interesting is I was reading today that because of the new rules around college athletes and name, image, and likeness and stuff, the schools have to opt in, but also individual players have to opt in or opt out. And they said they can't. EA Sports said we can't tell you how, but if a person doesn't opt in, if your favorite player from your school doesn't opt in, you won't be able to create them and put them in the game.
Oh.
So I don't know how they're gonna do that, but yeah, the because of name, image, and likeness rules, that every individual player has to say yes or no.
Wow, that's wild.
And they get $600 if they say yes.
So
and a free copy of the game.
Why would you say no?
I don't know.
That's $660.
Yeah,
right there that they're giving you. Plus, not only that, as soon as any athlete that has the opportunity to be big, right?
Yeah.
All they have to do is sign a copy.
Right.
It's sign the free copy that they got and be like, hey, I'm gonna sell this on eBay.
Here I go. Yeah.
That's it. So no, that's very, very cool.
Anyway, I forgot that until we were sitting here. So
yeah. So couple other things. Everything else I've got is all from the Nintendo Direct, just because one, I'm a Nintendo nerd, and two, that's just what's happened.
That's
the
most
recent thing.
Yeah.
So, not new. They are re-releasing Epic Mickey.
Saw that. Mm-hmm. Thought you'd be excited about it.
Epic Mickey Rebrushed. I have that on the Wii.
Of course you do.
I didn't really play it much when I had it on the Wii because there was a lot of other stuff that I had going on when I got that. So now that I've got kids, as opposed to when that game came out, I did not have kids. So I've got kids now. I think that would be I think that's going to be a good game to get and to revisit with them and to play. So excited about hearing that coming out.
It looked pretty fun.
No, it definitely did, and it would it's called Rebrushed, so they kind of updated it a little bit, but it's they said that it was a retelling, but it's the same game.
Of the same game, right?
So it's should be good. Metroidvania game coming out, or what looked like a Metroidvania to me. Ender Magnolia?
Yeah.
That was one of the early ones that they announced in there. That was basically there are these robots that are they call them homunculi.
Yep.
But they're basically robots that you have to resurrect and bring back, and they give you powers when you defeat them.
Right.
By fighting them, and you get powers and they become your companions. So like I said, very Metroidvania-like, where you kind of go through the game, you collect things, and then you can use, Metroid Dread kind of comes to mind. Could be a challenging type game, but looked at first when I first saw it, I was like, I'm just gonna skip through this. But then I started watching it, and I was like, maybe this could be fun. Maybe I would enjoy this. I'm not sure. So
one note that I made about the Nintendo Direct. It wasn't that it was bad. It was just that there were actually so many games.
There was a lot.
There was 28 games mentioned in 23 minutes.
Yes, there was a lot.
It's less than a minute, less than a game
and some
per minute.
Some they just threw up there. They didn't talk about it at all. They just threw it up there. Oh, here's
that they didn't say a word about.
Yeah, here's this game coming out.
Yeah.
And then one of them was basically Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. The first one.
Grounded.
Yes.
It's a fun game.
Yes.
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. So I hadn't heard about this. Apparently, it's a game that's
you can play it on Game Pass.
Oh, of course you can.
Look at that! Look at that!
It's a fun game. The premise is So actually, I made a note. Survival game. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Is the note I made. So you are shrunken down and you're in your backyard and you have to build a base and defeat. You have to basically survive and conquer the backyard. So. There's ants and spiders and floods because the sprinkler turns on. And,
just like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
And so it's kind of in a way Minecraft-ish because you have to build your base and stuff like that. But
okay.
It's pretty fun. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think you would like it.
I probably would.
Yeah.
I'd probably like it too much.
And you can already play it. You don't have to wait for it to come out on Switch because it's on Game Pass.
I can't play it because I am no longer subscribed to Game Pass.
That's the wrong answer, Josh.
Look, I cannot. We won't get into that right now. I bought the Series X, okay? Like, that was expensive. It cost money.
Fair enough.
Let's see. There are a couple of indie-type games that looked really cool. One of which, Pepper Grinder.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it was like you just had like this drill.
There's another like 2D platformer.
Yeah, 2D platformer thing where you're just like drilling. It looked like a speed type game where you're just you've got a drill and you're just kind of drilling through objects. So.
Yeah, and they said there's a demo available right now that you can play. So,
let's see. There's a Sonic ripoff game from the makers of Sonic Mania, which I don't know why they wouldn't just make a Sonic game, but it's called Penny's Big Breakaway.
That one was just me.
It literally looks like a Sonic game. Like, there are rings and everything. Just like, what is happening?
My note is actually, it's a dime a dozen platformer. Meh.
Yeah. So anyway, and World of Goo 2. I never played the original World of Goo.
Yeah.
But it did look like fun, and this one looks like a lot of fun too.
That one did look fun. Puzzle
games are always up my alley. And then the last thing that they announced is one that is probably not like it was a weird thing to go out on.
I don't have a problem with the game itself, but for that to be the big grand finale was just weird feeling.
And if anyone was wondering, it was not Metroid Prime 4.
It was not Metroid.
But Endless Ocean, a new Endless Ocean game.
Yeah.
Which the best experience that I had with that game was actually watching Game Grumps play it. So I don't recommend that with children around, but if you've got time, just look up Endless Ocean 2 Game Grumps and enjoy yourself because it's amazing. So anyway, yeah, that was kind of the brief run through of the Nintendo Direct and some other.
There was one game I wanted to draw people's attention to called Kingdom Come Deliverance.
Oh yeah.
That game came out for Xbox and Xbox One and PS4.
That actually looked really interesting. I hadn't heard about it.
I have it on PS4 and I played a little bit of it. It's really good. We talk all the time about our backlog. That's one that's always on my mind in terms of my backlog. It's a fun game. The gist of it is, knights, and it's supposedly it's historically accurate, and so it's set in this kingdom in the Holy Roman Empire, and you're a knight, and it's an action role-playing game, and it was a lot of fun. I played it for a few hours, but I just didn't get very far into it.
It certainly looked like a lot of fun. Or it looked really cool. Like, they didn't really show a lot of gameplay from it. They showed some clips from it.
Yeah.
That I didn't make any notes on it because I was like, I can't tell anything about the game other than it looks it looks nice. It looks like a nice game.
It is fun, and yeah, people should look into it, and yeah, it's worth looking into.
Yeah. So, all right. So that's a lot of spewing of news for the month of February. Anyone else have any other game news for the month? One final thing from Ryan.
They just put out a trailer for the Borderlands movie.
Oh.
So
I didn't know that was a thing.
I didn't either, and it's one of my favorite of all time games. So.
Who's doing that?
Yep, I know the answer to this. I don't remember.
It feels like an HBO type.
I can't remember
produced thing or something like that.
WB flashbacks to the World of Warcraft movie.
Oh gosh,
it's got some decent people in it. If you're familiar with the series, Jack Black plays the robot whose name I won't mention because it could be adult themed. Kevin Hart plays Roland, who's one of the soldiers. I have serious doubts about that because his character is Roland is very serious, and Kevin Hart is a comedian, obviously. So we'll see. But yeah.
Okay, Avi Arad and Eric Feig are producing. Okay, who is Lionsgate is distributing it? Go figure.
Well,
look out. Who's I saw it in the trailer and I can't remember. Who's playing Lilith?
Let's see, Lilith cast. Kate Blanchett.
Thank you.
Kate Blanchett is playing Lilith. This is all coming very quickly from our research
our IT department.
Our research department is
they're so
busy.
good.
They are so amazing.
That's why we pay them so well.
They get paid the big bucks. They get paid more than us.
So I think way back on our very first episode when we did our top 5, I think I gave Borderlands, specifically Borderlands 2, an honorable mention. I can't remember exactly, but I think that's how that went. Really fun games. I don't know how well it'll translate to a movie.
Yeah. But interestingly enough, for those of you who are fans of Illusion and Magic, Penn Jillette has a cameo apparently in the movie, so that'll be fun. Another video game movie. Hope with the success that's been going around, maybe it'll be something interesting and good.
I kind of laughed when I saw the trailer because, like I said, it's a favorite game of mine, and even I didn't know it was a thing.
Right.
So it's like, where did that come from?
It's very secretive, apparently.
But
all right, Daniel, do you have any last minute video game news to discuss?
So the last thing I'll say is the Mother 3 release was an interesting choice, I think, because I don't know anyone that knows those games apart from people who play Super Smash Bros. And choose
Lucas
or Ness,
and
their friends. Like that like it was never localized in the US, and I think it's an odd choice to bring it in, but I know that there are some diehard fans of that series that have been, going in at maybe not the most legal angles to get their fix for Mother 3, and I guess Nintendo's wanting to speak to that group.
So has that been officially released, like on the because I had seen something about it, but it wasn't like, I don't know. But yeah, that is an interesting. I know that's one of those things that people have been clamoring for a long time. Our research department is very busy right now trying to get us, solid information on this.
Oh, you know what? I think they announced that it was getting a Japanese local or a re-release.
Japanese, of course.
Never mind. That's rubbing salt in the wound.
Ow.
That's hilarious.
Something else that I just came across. Xbox's Rare games are headed to Nintendo Switch Online. So that's one of those things that like Banjo-Kazooie and some of the. So that was what made GoldenEye such a difficult thing, because Microsoft bought Rare. And Rare was the one who developed GoldenEye and several other Nintendo staples for the 64. So some of those are part of that being the original Killer Instinct being a Rare thing. So it's possible that maybe Banjo-Kazooie ends up
on the Nintendo.
Oh wait, no, Banjo-Kazooie is on there. Maybe
it's a couple of them, right, on the Virtual Console.
Yeah, that one's already on there. So maybe this is saying, you know what? I know what they're saying. They're suggesting that maybe a new Banjo game could be coming out on the Switch at some point in the future, which could be interesting. So, sorry, research departments feed me a lot of information right now.
Ain't that just the way?
That's just the way. They just throw stuff in my ear here.
Yep.
as they're reading over the articles, and I'm getting confused. So, anyway,
fired.
No, we can't fire them. We need them. Oh man, we have fun. That about wraps us up for this news episode. We went a little long, but thank you so much for listening. We're excited about some of the games that are coming out. I hope you are too. If you've got anything that you're excited about, let us know, and we'll maybe mention it on a future episode.
Yes, indeed.
Otherwise, we will catch you on the next episode of the Dead Tired Dads podcast.
Bye.